Call it M.U.G. Me, you, and a guest on QBS.
Much more tonight. I'm being joined by Mohammad Abdur Rehman, who's a debate instructor at Qatar Debate's English Program Department since 2012. Now, Mr. Mohammed here has a significant role in spreading the debating culture across schools, universities in Qatar, along with conducting various debate-related workshops and also training sessions, and leading many of the tournaments and also championships organized by Qatar Debates. Glad to have you here with me in the studio. How are you feeling?
Thank you so much. Feeling amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Usually I like to ask people when they come here about the radio experience, if they actually ever got a chance to, do radio before or not. So is it actually like you expect, or is it a bit different?
I think it's really interesting. I like the soundproofing and being sort of, stuck in a bunker.
Yeah.
So looking forward to this experience.
I call them the bunkers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And every time I take a picture on my Instagram, I'm like walking into the bunker.
That's really cool.
So today we want to talk about your experience in debate. When I was in school, they used to bring in some debate members to actually teach us a bit about debating and stuff like that. As a young kid, I didn't know really much about debating, but I took a little bit of interest in it. Growing up, the debating culture became a very important. It's a very important aspect in Qatar's schools, universities. You see a lot of competitions happening also between universities. So, where do you fit in this story? How did you start in the debating career? What's your educational background? What's the story behind you?
All right. So my background is in economics. I did a double majors in economics and finance. And although I think economics doesn't sort of directly, contribute to me becoming a debate instructor today, but essentially what economics does is that it does help you build this intuition of making arguments. Okay. Right? Like, for example, like what's happening in the economy, why is it happening, what are the implications of different policy interventions. So this helps develop this habit of making well-informed judgments. But what really helped me in becoming a debate instructor today was me being a high school debater myself. So, I started as a debater back in high school, then debated all throughout university, and then also, got this experience of debating at the national and international level. And that's when I realized that I want to continue this passion that I had for debating, and I want to turn it into a full-time career.
Interesting. So, usually debating is just, at the beginning, is thrown up as arguing with fellow students in class. Because I studied politics, and when you study politics, there's a lot of debating and arguing in classes.
Yeah, true.
And I've seen a lot of, fellow students or colleagues from our university actually take interest in debates. And they would always usually do their assignments by listening to some of their favorite debaters in any kind of topic, especially in history, especially in linguistics and stuff like that. So, were you always passionate about making it a career, or you just wanted to compete in a general kind of way?
Yeah, I think initially it was about the competition, right? It was about winning those trophies and medals.
Yeah.
But then as I was doing that, I also realized that I really liked teaching, right? Okay. So as a debater in university, I started coaching different teams at different schools, right? And that's when I realized that I really liked working with, just high school students, right? And teaching them about like public speaking, argumentation, and then also sort of seeing the change that comes in them, after they do those trainings, how they become more articulate, how they become a bit more sharp in terms of how they're, thinking about things. And just generally that experience of working with school students was just amazing, right?
This takes me back to my high school days. We had a debate team, and one of the members of the debate team got really sick, so he couldn't make it to the competition. Okay. So out of all the students, they came up to me and they were like, "You have to fill in."
Okay, so you had this part from the start.
Yeah, but I had no training in debating whatsoever. It just took me with them.
Okay. So how was it?
It was brutal for me.
Okay.
Because you're sitting with all these trained, students, and they've done this competition several times. It's not really easy. People think it's actually easy, but it's not. To have a solid argument and to know when to speak and to know what to present and counter arguments, especially in a topic that let's say, you're not pro of, and then somehow you have to be pro of the topic.
Yeah. I think that's very interesting. And what's coming to my mind is, just sharing this idea that debating a lot of times is just having a conversation, right? And a lot of times why people feel stressed about public speaking is because they think that now we're being put on this spot and people are judging us, right? And people will form these opinions about us. And the moment it starts becoming a sort of a performance, right, that's when I think the stress kicks in and it starts becoming a sort of a brutal experience. Otherwise, I think with a lot of these debate topics, if you just know like a few frameworks of coming up with arguments, right? The 5 W's and the H, the problem, solution, outcome, what's happening now, how exactly are we going to change about it, like the long term, the short term, the micro, the macro, like if you have these
technicalities,
just these little ideas, just these little toolkits in your pocket, I think it's easy to sort of come up with some arguments.
So this takes me to my question, which is the format of debate. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What are some of the formats?
Sure. I like how we started off with this discussion of how we see debating around us all the time, right? Like it's not really in terms of like debating, but it's happening in terms of discussions and arguments, right? Like friends, couples, siblings, everyone's arguing. It's just that it's much more sort of casual, right? And there's no rules about it. So if you're appealing to emotions or logic, or even if you're using like faulty logic, there's no repercussions. You can get away with that. So but with debating, it's much more formalized way of discussing and arguing.
Okay.
So it has specific rules for teams and speakers. So Qatar Debate format is a 3-on-3 format. So there are 2 teams that compete against each other. One team is called the proposition, the other is the opposition, and each team has 3 speakers. And each speaker then speaks for 6 minutes. So, the first speaker of the proposition team would start the debate, and then it's the first opposition, then second op, and so on. And then we have reply speeches from each of the sides, and that's how we sort of conclude the debate. But on top of all of this, there's one really exciting aspect of our format, which is called points of information. Now, what's a point of information? So a point of information is a short question or a comment that a member of the opposing team can ask the speaker who's delivering the speech. So imagine you were speaking, right? And a member of the opposing team stands up and say, point of information, or on that point, right? And now they have the right to sort of make a short comment or ask you a question. So they're putting you, right there on the spot. And although it's sort of, I think, challenging, but it's also fun as well.
Can that actually be used as a correcting method? Let's say you're given a false information. Are you allowed at that moment to correct?
Sure. Like, in a point of information, they can ask that, can you tell us the source of your evidence? Why not? Right. So yeah.
That's very interesting. We're halfway through the first hour of the show on 97.5, broadcasting to you live from Doha, Qatar, with me, Ahmed Shaheen. Loving the vibes, loving the music, and loving the conversation. So we're still with our guest, Mr. Mohammad Abdur Rehman, here in the studio. He's a debate instructor at Qatar Debate's English program department since 2012. Now, he also has a significant role in spreading the debating culture across schools, universities in Qatar, along with conducting various debate-related workshops and also training sessions and leading many of the tournaments and championships organized by Qatar Debate. We were talking about some of the topics related to the formats of debate and stuff like that. It takes us to a very key question, which is what is the importance of learning debating skills? Can you carry such skills to real life on day to day? From your perspective and your experience, since you've been in the field for many, many years.
Yeah. So look, Shaheen, debating really is a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
The more you debate, the more self-aware you become about how you think about things.
Yeah.
the more mindful you become of your own biases and how they reflect in your opinions. So this process of self-discovery in itself is invaluable. But I think there's more to debating. So I often see students too narrowly focused on classroom studies. And to be honest, I believe that if they join the debate team, they'd not only become a better person, but they'd also become smarter. So look, debaters learn to listen and to engage meaningfully in conversations with those disagreeing with them.
Okay.
Now, with an increasingly polarized world, all of us must learn to be better listeners and agree to disagree respectfully. I also think that, debaters learn to spot and point out faulty logic and logical fallacies. So now, when we're living in this time of alternative facts, and there's widespread misinformation and disinformation campaigns, this is especially useful for everyone, and especially youth.
Yeah.
Right, that they're able to identify faulty logic and logical fallacies.
You said something very interesting, which is the fact that you learn when to listen. I can't remember what I read, but there was an article once that was saying that 90% of the time or so, it's a big huge percentage, people don't actually pay attention to what you're saying. They're only focusing on what they are about to reply to you. So they're thinking about their counter argument or their comeback. So the actual points that you're saying are just going from one ear and leaving from the other.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced that with students where they just don't want to listen? They're just thinking about what to say back.
Yeah. So, and I think that's the difference between listening and hearing, right?
Yeah.
That, someone's just hearing and they're not really listening and paying attention to what you're saying. But I think in debating, students are forced to listen because look, if they're not listening to the opposing team, they're not fully understanding their arguments, and then they can't refute their arguments, and then they're more likely to sort of lose the debate round. So I think they're just sort of forced. And I think on top of all of this, there's this one more thing that I'd want to say about debating, which is that debaters are often well informed about just topics of social, political, economic significance, because that's how we curate debate topics at our tournaments.
Yeah.
And just because of that, I think they're just well informed, and then they're able to articulate their thoughts better as well, right? And I think that's pretty intuitive that just because they're speaking a lot, they're communicating a lot, it just improves their communication skills, right? Because of debating.
A lot of times, whether are you moving by intuition or you're actually thinking about your next step. And that's one of the key factors that I notice about debating. In order for you to actually prove yourself or to get a point or so, is to actually think about your comeback, not to intuitively respond to whatever your competitor is saying. And even in day-to-day life, a lot of the times you just intuitively act. You don't sit down for a second and actually think whether that move is right or not. You do the action, and then after the action happens, you evaluate.
What happened?
What happened, is that right or wrong? What are some of the key debating training methodologies that you developed or utilized from your experience? And is there a certain kind of technique that can be adaptable in this region different than another region, or they somehow have similarities or differences?
Yeah. So look, as Qatar Debate coaches, we've developed a set of debate skills and content workshops. So we've developed workshops on public speaking, argumentation, critical thinking, motion analysis, case building. Now, all of these are debate skills that help debaters win debates. And interestingly, every Ramadan, we do a Ramadan training series. Right, so it's actually starting next week. Online training. Yeah, it's open to community and school students usually join, or even university students. So, for example, some of the topics are using ethical theories in debate, or crime and punishment, or media debates, or making social or impacting social arguments. So we do lots of debate skills and content workshops, but then we also offer trainings for adults, school teachers. So, for example, teaching them running and coaching a debate club, using debate in the classroom. So, for example, using debate as an instructional tool, judging debates, And we've also developed workshops for the wider community. So, for example, debate skills training for professionals. So, working professionals for different industries would sign up and they'll join us for this training. And then we teach them presentation skills, critical thinking, persuasion skills. So, something that they really apply in their workplace, right? So, like all of these are different trainings, methodologies, that we've developed over the years for schools, for wider community, for teachers. And we've received amazing response.
And this program is in both languages, Arabic and English?
Yeah. So it's a bilingual program, both in English and Arabic.
Oh, that's amazing. And it's free of charge?
Yeah, it's mostly, it's for some of the trainings, especially when we're going to schools, right? There's a nominal, fee that we charge. Similarly, when schools attend our tournaments, there's a very nominal, registration fee. But in comparison to what other debate communities charge around the world, I think it's pretty
reasonable. So throughout the years that you've been working with so many students, many universities and so on, was there a certain kind of team that excelled in comparison to the other? And what were the skills that they had that you seem that somehow they set a scale for you or a bar that you want to reach to that level?
So I think look, Qatar Debate was established back in 2008, right? And over 15 years we've worked with so many teams, and now our strategies and our coaching methodologies are so set that now it's the time for us to sort of reap the rewards, right, of all the hard work. So very recently, Qatar Debate has coached very successful teams. So for example, we're really proud of our Team Qatar program. Team Qatar represents the state of Qatar at the World Schools Debating Championship every year. So like the WSDC, the World Schools Debating Championship, it's like the FIFA World Cup of high school debating, right? So, national debate teams of different countries, of like 50, 60 countries participate every year.
That's every year,
yeah? Yeah, that's every year. So in 2021, Team Qatar made history by, breaking for the first time, which is that they qualified as one of the top teams. They made it to the knockout rounds. And just last year, 2022, so at the preliminary rounds, Qatar ranked 5th best nation in the Western Division. And some of our debaters also ranked really high in the speaker awards. So one of the debaters was Moza Al-Hajri. She was named as the top 6 EFL speaker of the WSDC. And that's, the sort of the best achievement to date for Team Qatar. And then we also had Sarah Al-Maadid. She ranked 12th best ESL speaker in the tournament. So if you think about this event, this is like a world championship, right? And now Qatar is mashallah among the top countries, and our speakers are among the top debaters, right? And I think what's really setting them apart is that we, roll out this 1-year program. We start training them over months and months. And then, even during Ramadan, these kids are coming at Qatar Debate Center, they're learning with their coaches, they're attending tournaments before, the build up to the final event. And, I think it's really the hard work of the coaches and, these debaters, their consistency that's really reaping the rewards now.
And what about your regional accomplishments? Now, this is more on an international scale. So if we're going to take it down to, let's say, the Arabic teams or so, what was their accomplishments from the Qatar Debate programs?
Yeah, so if we just go back, a bit again in 2008 when Qatar Debate was set up. So as we were set up, we hosted the World Schools Debating Championship, right? Remember the FIFA World Cup of high school debating? And this made Qatar, the first country in the MENA region to host such a championship. And after that, we sort of never looked back. So from 2012 onwards, we started hosting the International Arabic Debating Championships.
Nice.
So 1 year we did it for universities, the next year we did it for schools. And, again, we had like 80, 90 countries coming over. Some were native Arab speakers, other were, had Arabic as a foreign language or a second language. And consistently, Team Qatar, also sort of, wins that championship, both in schools and universities as well. So although we started off, with this English program, but as you wanted to know about the Arabic, eventually I think our Arabic program has a bigger impact.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's really amazing. So we're gonna. You know what? Sometimes I always believe that it's either one of the key sentences that I love hearing in life, whether it's either a yes or a no. Maybe it's not really in the question. So sometimes you only lose when you actually give up. But to see yourself striving to become better, especially throughout such a program or even such competitions, because in any skill in life, you just gotta keep going, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you lose once, that's not the end of the world. You gotta keep going.
True.
And a lot of times, these values are not actually instilled within the students. They think it's the end of the world. They lose once.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not good at this. Let me find something else. But in reality, you just gotta keep practicing.
True,
And with
true.
time, you grab on it.
Yeah, and a lot of times when debating, you get some of the best arguments after the debate is over, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're having like dinner with your family,
I should have said that.
or you're taking a shower, right? And you're like, but this is all part of the learning.
Yeah, I remember that experience. I came out, I was like, I should have said that. I should have said this, and I should have. But honestly, when you have a great coach and also a great team that can calm you down and tell you, hey, relax, have fun with it also and learn and enjoy the experience.
Yeah.
Don't overwork yourself sometimes.
Yeah, true.
Or don't be too hard on yourself. So when it comes to collaborating with other debate coaches and also institutions in the region to promote growth and development of the debate culture, how is that going for Qatar Debate and also your team in the English program?
Yeah. So look, we collaborate a lot with local, regional, and international partners.
Yeah.
And it all started with the WSDC back in 2008. But since then, because of these partnerships, we've been able to host these international schools and universities, Arabic debating championships. And to be honest, just at Qatar Debate, not because I'm part of the English program, but just because I'm part of Qatar Debate, we take a lot of pride in being really the pioneers, the torch bearers of Arabic debating, right? And that is something that has sort of spilled to regional championships now. So Qatar Debate has enabled the US Arabic debating championship, the European Arabic debating championship, Asian Arabic debating championship. So from that international impact, it has spilled over to these regional championships. And we also host a lot of training camps such as the Elite Academy. We have Qatar Debate Ambassadors Program. We have a MENA Training Academy, and all of this is done to spread debating in the region and beyond.
Amazing. So also, what is the vision for the future of the English debate in Qatar, and also when we're talking about the Middle East region, what's happening and what's next for Qatar Debate?
Yeah. Being part of Qatar Debate for over 10 years, what I've seen is that from having our outreach to 30 schools in Qatar to now over 200, right? Like there's this exponential growth in the community, right? And every year the community is growing. So what I expect from the vision is that, look, it keeps growing, it keeps going from strength to strength in Qatar. And it also sort of spills over more in the region, right? So I already know that there's national debate organizations now that are very active in Oman, in Amarat, right, in Kuwait, in Saudi, right? And I think that's a very positive trend. And I think a big Qatar Debate has played a big role in sort of encouraging other sort of regional debate organizations as well. So I think that collaboration should continue. It should keep on growing. We should keep on sort of torching the light, and it should keep on sort of spilling over in the region. But I think apart from that, I think we should also think about debating as something that can be integrated in the school's curriculum.
Yeah.
So currently, there's a select few students who participate at these tournaments, but I think there's a need to actively think of ways to make classroom experience a bit more practical, right? Like we can have the student at the center of learning and make them be active learners instead of passive learners. And I think debate can play a big part there. But to make a case for that, I think what needs to happen is that we need to do some academic inquiry, some research into the pedagogy of debating, argumentation, rhetoric, and then find evidence that, look, debating really helps students, not just as competitive debating, but also inside the classroom, right? Because it makes learning more fun, because it fosters critical thinking, problem solving, right? Makes them more articulate. So I think there's a need for more academic inquiry, and Qatar Debate is already thinking in that direction. So we're hosting the first international conference on debate and dialogue on May 29th and 30th. Right, and this conference will bring together world leading academics and scholars to discuss, specialized academic issues that enrich our knowledge in the field of debating, dialogue, argumentation. So some of the things that are also very interesting is, this conference will be exploring and tracing the tradition of debating in the Islamic tradition, right? So it's very interesting. That it's going in that direction. And I think it's the right direction to go to.
Where can people stay up to date, whether with you or also Qatar Debate, just to see what's happening?
Yeah.
And if they want to get in touch with the program, if they want to enroll some of their kids, or even adults, if they just want to get into the program, how can they do that?
Yeah, so they can visit our website, qatardebate.org, or we're very active on social media as well. They can visit our Facebook page. They can visit our Instagram page. They can visit us on Twitter, right? So they can, engage with us in either of these social media platforms, or they can, visit our website, and contact us from there as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm really glad to had this chance to have a conversation with you tonight on this beautiful Thursday, Mr. Mohammad Abdur Rehman. Until we meet again, wishing you best of luck, and also Qatar Debate. You heard him, guys. So get in touch, and if you're interested in the program, they'll definitely be more than gladly to help.
Thank you so much.
Big shout outs to you, and enjoy the rest of your night. For all those tuning in, stick around. We're going to be with you until 12.
We call it M.U.G. Me, you, and a guest on QBS.